Good morning. This is my third video that I've made, probably in the last year. Frequency is increasing. Second in 1 week, third in probably a month or something like that. Tanisha. This week I noticed a few things. The first thing I noticed is regarding the first grade children that I teach in class. They seemed more excited than usual during different points of the day. Happier. I also noticed that even when I raised my voice at them, as I did yesterday, I didn't get angry. And actually I couldn't really keep the laughter hiding in. And they caught on. I was just trying to pretend like I was angry. But it wasn't work. Didn't really work. So I have noticed that. I've been paying attention for quite some time. That has been for quite some time. That's been probably a year and a half. And perhaps I could say 3 years at least since I started realizing what anger was and made a decision to not participate in anger. It's been quite a journey exploring anger, and at first realizing too late that I'd gotten angry and lost it. Went into emotion, energy, reaction mode. I guess it was about 3 or 4 years ago that I started looking at anger again through the Material Destiny program, DESTENI.org. Understanding what anger really is, and it's just as a polarity, opposite, and emotion. Just like happiness and sadness, love, hate, anger is in there. So anytime we're participating in any one of those emotions, we're basically subjecting ourselves to the opposite extreme of that emotion, or the equaling of that emotion. It can probably go both ways. For example, you could probably have let's say a week of love, in which you experience that love, that wonderful bliss feeling. Most people in their lives do at some point experience that. And then you might have another week in your life where you experience the complete opposite, total, utter despair, the complete opposite of love. Or to balance that 1 week of total bliss, it might be a year of just kind of feeling down, slowing down. So in one way or another, the energy, the emotions that are based on polarities are always going to circle through those polarities, and then half of the polarity is going to be defined as positive and half is going to be defined as negative in some way. But as I've come to understand it, it's actually all negative energy, because it's produced through friction and conflict, through the resourcing, the mining of the physical, from a starting point of friction and conflict. So it's all really just negative energy, defined as all negative energy from its starting point of production, produced through friction and conflict. But within the mind consciousness system, we define it as negative, neutral, and positive. The mind defines it. And so we blindly adhere to that, thinking, believing that the positive is the place to be, not realizing that the positive is actually, the positive, neutral, and negative are actually all negative from a starting point of being produced through mining the physical substance life, through friction, conflict, to produce that energy. And so we experience it, and the energy is produced basically for the mind consciousness system to continue with the thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, illusions. To create the picture in the mind takes energy, just like the TV. Turn on the TV requires power, requires energy. How is that energy produced? The same way, in a sense, through friction, conflict, magnetics, I guess, probably. So anyway, today, this week, I noticed that the children were, especially yesterday and the day before yesterday, seemed to be more excited in the afternoons than they usually do. First grades, boy, I really enjoy teaching them. They're just fun. Even when they're out of hand, they're kind of fun. They just know how to have fun. And I also noticed that really yesterday, I've been noticing it for a long time, and I've spoken to the children about this quite a bit. I said, I don't get angry. I just don't do that anymore. And I haven't for quite some time. So that's something cool. That's I would say a result, positive result, a result. Let's say a result of walking this process of stepping out from living in as a mind to more living in and as a physical here. I'd say it's just a small point. It's not a fast process. But I have to say I was kind of hoping for. Now it's all right. So I haven't gotten angry in quite some time. Although yesterday I noticed a reaction that came up when I was driving my motor scooter, and this truck driver, sometimes they come at you, and you literally gotta move your scooter to the very side of the road because you're playing chicken. And well, I mean, I could play chicken on the scooter, but eventually you figure out. And I do actually, to an extent, and I say, okay, I can only go so far. And the thought appeared in my head, of chasing this guy down and yelling at him, grabbing him out of his cab. And years ago, I would have done just that. I'm sure I did do just that. But this time it was just a flash, and just a flash as a kind of memory of how I would have reacted, but still kept it in memories. And it only lasted for a few seconds. But it's, in other words, the point being that I may not have gotten angry for a long time, or had such vengeful thoughts in a long time, but they're still me. It's still within me. I just am directing myself better than I have in a long time. It's been a process. It's a continuing process. with its ups and downs. So that's the point for today. Notice the children just seem more excited this week, kind of more free, enjoying themselves than I've seen in a while. Why? Who knows why? I always ask myself why. Everything, there's got to be a why. And I can go into, wow, hours and hours of writing, pages and pages, looking at a single word, or like truth, you know, real. And yeah, there is always a why. I just don't always find that why. It's like reality. I recently completed a mind construct on work, on the subject of work, because I really didn't want to do this mind construct. My mind doesn't like doing them at all. I see why, because they produce results. Even when I, as the mind, try to manipulate the results, the outcome, the results I'm looking for usually come in the very end with the self-forgiveness and the self-corrective statements where I see the pattern, because I'll generally manipulate the doing of these mind construct in terms of ranting and raving, for example, and then doing timelines and labeling those timelines for what they are: blame, justification, guilt, etc. What came out in this particular mind construct with work was that in the instances such as last year, when I was in a position of being instructed by the managers of a school that I worked at to do more. Everyone is these days, it seems, but specifically more than what was specifically agreed upon within a written contract, and without pay, without compensation, and just continually being applied. And I would stand up to a certain extent to them, but I'd compromise, and I'd stand up and say, well, okay, I'm only going to do half of this. I'm standing up to them. Compromise, and I was viewing that standing up, that compromise, as a standing up. And in reality, after doing this mind construct, what I realized that compromising, if it's only a one-sided compromise, is not a compromise. It's backing down. It's like falling back, standing and fighting, falling back, making a stand, falling back, making a stand. If you look at the trend line, it's being defeated, falling back, falling back. I can call it whatever I want, but compromise, when both sides are not equally involved in the compromise, is not a compromise at all. It's a falling back. It's a non-standing, which can be called a second of standing up, but it's not really standing and standing. It's standing to falling back, to standing to falling back. So that's what I realized about work in my participation with others, specifically managers, bosses, etc. That if I don't, from the very beginning, stand up and state, make it clear where I'm standing, then I'm liable to just be. Here she is. Have a look at her. Yeah, just be constantly. Yeah, there we go. Constantly falling back. So that's what I realized this week. In order to avoid the pitfalls of believing I'm making a stand when I'm really not, it's just to stand and stay standing um, for not just me to see, but for everyone to see. And as such, let the direct myself. It's not a question of things will fall where they fall. No, I just stand, and within that, I direct myself. And so after doing this mind construct, interesting thing was my reality in regards to work just changed like overnight. Suddenly, I wasn't being asked to do these things that were never agreed upon. And that's weird about it, because it's like it seems my external reality is changing, but the only thing that happened with regards to this mind construct was my internal reality. Yet it seems that my external reality changes, and that's a point of reality that I haven't figured out yet either. How we're creating our reality as with regards to what we accept and allow in the mind, our participation in the mind. How that works, I understand to an extent with the holographics. What we see, how it's interpreted by the mind and actually transmitted to an extent, apparently, out to cover our perimeter, so to speak. And I haven't figured that one out yet completely yet, but I'm working on it. And that's all available too at the ECAF interviews on the mind consciousness system, ecaf.com, EQAFE.com. The quantum systemization interviews, and lots of hundreds and hundreds of other interviews coming out about with different perspectives than your scientific projected perspective. These would be more interdimensional perspectives of the mind consciousness system, the relationship to the physical, how it works, etc. So, still quite fascinating. I'm enjoying me, and I'll stop it right there.